Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome
Hey,
back. Welcome back to the Knowledge and Power Podcast.
What's up,
Hashtag
friends?
the KMP Show. What's going on,
Family,
brother?
what up, fellas?
how's it going?
Oh, doing good, man. Doing good. I'm broadcasting. I'm your man Nathan Hall. The I guess I'm the official host of the show.
Yo,
Unofficial,
yo.
unofficial. They say this because my voice is so like very white.
Yeah, you got the
Soothing to the
sound.
ear. So, um, yeah. How you doing, Ray? Tell us what's going on with you back in Detroit. What's going on?
Well, man, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Is
I'll
it?
start, I'll start off by saying that. Yeah, man, I love
So
my
you
city.
don't have no snow or no cold or nothing.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. 'Cause you
Man,
gotta love the snow, man. I mean, it's not heavy.
I have to. You have to.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. I have to get out and shovel my driveway. So,
Man,
and it's not too cold. It's not too cold. So,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a little less cold with the snow than it was without. If you know what I'm
Hey, but it was beautiful yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday was nice. I got a chance to go get my car washed, all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
it reminded me of spring/summer.
Oh,
Summer.
wow.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about the sunshine, all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
okay. I'm about to say.
But this
I
morning,
know. I wish I could say that.
this morning was a different story. So
Yeah, I went to bed last night because we heard there was a winter weather advisory,
yeah,
and I'm thinking it was going to start snowing 6, 7 o'clock. I went to bed about midnight, no snow.
no snow.
I'm like, oh, it's going to pass us over. We're going to miss this.
Yeah.
And when I woke up this morning, I was rudely awakened by 4, 5 or 6 inches of snow. It was crazy. But
Are you kidding?
yeah, I got it. What, you didn't get anything in Muskegon, Jake? What's going on in Muskegon?
We did, but not that much.
Did you got
We were,
you got
well,
a
act-
dusting? A dusting?
not quite a dusting. It was about 2 inches, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't even get out there and shovel.
Oh, you don't have to shovel 2 inches.
He's gonna drive on. He's gonna drive on top of it.
Yeah.
That's what we've been doing.
Oh, man, fellas.
And I hate that because when it's time to shovel, then you got to chip all that up.
The ice, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That makes it hard when you drive over that stuff or walk over it. It compresses. It's
yeah,
hard to shovel.
it's
So
crazy.
in the summertime, Michelle, my lovely wife, found a deal and on a used snowblower.
Mm.
Oh,
The only
That's
thing
awesome.
is that it's electric,
mm.
and I've got about a 50-foot cord, and 50 feet is not as long as you think.
No, it's not.
And so I'm like, I tried it out the last big snow we had, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got the cord, I got the snowblower, and the snowblower works great. But when you reach that end of that 50 feet, it's like,
Yeah.
man, then you got to find another outlet and go to
Hilarious.
So it was more work maneuvering that cord around,
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
shoveling. So my next step is to find like a 100-foot cord or another 50-foot cord and put them together.
Yeah, just put them together, man.
But yeah,
Get
that
100.
that snowblower though, that experience is like, that's nice. It's nice
Mhm. Oh
because
yeah, I love it.
you position it, the chute, and then it was my first time using a snowblower, and it was like, wow, I like this.
It's fun. It's a
I can
toy.
get used to this. I get
It's
used
a
to it.
man's toy.
The next step is to ride in the snowblower.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're doing it big in Lansing now. I just got to rely on these snowblowers right here.
yeah. I've been using it.
Oh
So
man.
I got a quick moment to tell you guys about. I already told you, but I'm gonna share it with the crew, with the people that are watching.
Mhm.
And it's just a PSA, public service announcement. Before you start doing any manual labor like shoveling snow, picking up heavy objects,
Mhm.
or hanging curtain rods, you need to stretch. When you get to be of age,
Wow.
40, 49, 50 plus,
You
you
hang
need
a curtain.
to stretch
You hang a curtain rod.
to hang a curtain rod.
You gotta,
I hung a curtain rod,
gotta do all that.
and I took about half an hour because I had to screw holes and put in anchors and things like that.
hmm
By the time I was done, my back was on fire. I had
I
to
know.
sit down, and I could not get up for like another few hours because it hurt so bad. And I
I
finally,
know all too well, man.
you know about that. I know you know about that, Jake. I finally had to break down and take some medicine, and I don't do the medicine.
Yeah, y'all breaking my heart, fellas. I mean,
Man.
you know what the remedy is.
What, tennis?
No.
What?
We got to lace them up again.
Basketball.
We got to run that court again.
Man, if I get on the court, y'all have to
Hey, I know. That's
you
the
might have
remedy.
an ambulance on standby, bro.
Right, you're really trying to hurt us.
Laid up. I just said I hung a curtain rod and I was laid up for hours.
So you need to defeat
getting
that.
on the court,
Right?
Have me having an attack of some court or some.
Get down low and go up and
Man, I hung up that jersey. I hung up that jersey like years ago. Between my knees, my back, and not being in shape, I would have to get out there and just shoot jumpers, and that's it.
But just one more
back into it.
One more run for your boy, man. That's it.
You gonna be there to run with me?
Oh yeah. I have one more. When I turned 50 last year, I was intending to. Before this all I thought the COVID would be gone away. I was going to do a basketball game against my son, my youngest, and his boys. And I was going to recruit my fellas.
He was about to kill you though, bro.
No, he gonna kill me. I can't let that down.
What happened? Did you do it?
No, because of the COVID. No, I didn't.
Oh,
he couldn't get everybody together.
So 51 is coming, and I'm doing it, man. Mask up.
All right.
You have at it, right?
Bring the old man tournament. Bring it to me.
Bring it, baby.
I'm gonna have all the knee pads, the elbow pads, and the thick goggles,
the
headbands, the sweatbands, all. I'm gonna have all that.
That's because we need a distraction because the young folks will be like, "What is his deal?"
Oh man, you remember that dude in New York that we thought couldn't play, and he took us to town?
Dude, he took us to town, mate.
We'll tell that story another day, Jake.
He muscled us. God.
He had on these tight little shorts. He was halfway inebriated, tight tank top, and he was like belly hanging out the shirt.
He's a tall guy. He's a tall guy.
I'll take on both of you, 2 against 1. And we was like, man, let's go, Ray. We about to kill this dude, man. He took us to town. We ain't score a point.
Yep.
Wow.
Now was that against him? Was that against him and Ken?
Ken was back there laughing at us.
Yeah, you're right. He was. I was checking Ken, and you was checking my man.
And Ken was like, he was just laughing. He wasn't even playing. He was just laughing.
Oh my God.
So that was a long time ago.
Yeah. The old goat.
But if we're gonna play the young fellas, man, we got to come out like that and make them think we can't play.
Oh my goodness,
man. So we got some special guests tonight, guys. I don't have a special sponsor segment, but if we did have a sponsor segment, it would go right now. Thank you to our sponsor for next time.
Yep.
But we have some special guests, and we're really excited.
Yeah.
We're going to do part 3 of our opposite sex friendships in marriage and committed relationships.
Can I say one thing, Nate?
Yeah, please.
Before we bring them on, it's great to wrap up with this couple here for what we've been talking about. But one thing I can say, because you asked last week, did anything happen throughout the week to get us pumped for the show?
Yeah.
And I can say this week, yes, it did.
Okay, what happened?
I was cleaning up around the house yesterday, and we were remiss to bring in the knowledge of an old philosopher from back in our day.
Right.
And that I heard that philosopher when I was cleaning up yesterday, and it was the one and only Biz Marquis. And he said,
oh my God.
And you say he's just a friend.
Right.
Why didn't we listen to the Biz?
Right. He pumped you up.
Prophetic hip hop wisdom. We just don't listen.
My
we thought it was a song.
Right, because blah, blah, blah did him wrong.
You say he's just a friend.
Right.
Man.
So I was pumping that yesterday. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, so that leads us into our topic. And we've had some amazing feedback on this subject. I had a conversation with my pastor today about the very subject because he listened to the podcast and had some questions. And so, people are like, they either feel one way or the other about it.
Yeah, which is understandable.
You either think it's okay or you think it's not okay. Or you think it's okay as long as there are certain rules that are followed. And so we kind of left off last week. Shout out to our special guest, Chisley Janine.
Mm-hmm.
We left last week kind of leaving it open-ended once again because we think this is such a broad topic.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like I err on the side of caution because when you think about it, the thing is friendships, not associations, not pals or just casual. We're talking about friendships and real
Mm-hmm.
friends hang out, do things, go places, have intimate conversations. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of place I'm looking at it from. And so I still think I'd rather not do it.
Got you.
That's just me. But there's, like I said, other people think it's okay with boundaries. But
I just think, and I'll just give my little flashback spiel of where I stood on it, and I just think I err on the side of caution to the point of you got to listen to the person that you're with. If they have a problem with it, then it's worth to step back and take a look at it because the moment something is revealed by the opposite sex friend that they are slightly attracted to you or something like that, it could definitely cause problems.
Definitely.
So those are conversations that need to be had, and approached honestly, truthfully.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's really what it boils down to: conversation.
Yeah.
And so
communication.
Communication. That's it. That's it. So I think with our special guest tonight, we're going to get an opportunity to kind of explore that seasoned philosopher angle that Ray was talking about.
Yes.
And get a perspective from a married couple in ministry. And I think we can kind of finalize this conversation with an outlook that comes from a serious point of view, an established point of view. So tonight, drum roll, please. We have
what happened?
Right. What happened?
Nate froze.
Quick glitch. We keep going.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
We have with us pastors Tyrone and Katrina Temple. Pastor Tyrone Temple is an assistant pastor at Dunamis Outreach Ministries. They have a marriage ministry that they run. It's called Aquila and Priscilla Marriage Ministry. They say they absolutely believe the truth that marriage can be spectacular, and their vision is simple, which is to help marriages hit the bullseye. So, without further ado, we're going to bring on pastors Tyrone and Katrina Temple. Please welcome them with a lovely hello.
Welcome.
Yes.
Hello, welcome you all. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
A little on the fantastic side of life.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. I like it already.
If I was any better, I'd be twins. One of me couldn't handle it.
Oh my goodness. So tell us how things are going this week. We just talked about the snow. How are you? Are you guys snow people? Or are you like? I know you live in Michigan, in Detroit, so you might have to be used to it. But do you like it? That's what I want to know.
For me, I absolutely hate snow.
Man.
I've hated snow for many years.
Man.
So
Tell me about it.
I can do without the snow. I'd rather have the cold without the snow than the snow. And it's just for many years I don't like snow. I don't like it.
I could deal with the cold way more than I can deal with the snow, I tell you.
But do you think it's pretty?
Yes. Yes, it is.
For a little while.
It's beautiful. I admit, a snow-covered field and trees and stuff is beautiful.
Beautiful picture.
To look
but
at.
Then you got to drive on it. You got to deal with it. You got to, it becomes icy. And no, I can do that.
I'm with you, Pastor. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So we thank you guys for joining us. We are really happy to have you here. We hope our audience is happy to see you here. We've had a burner of a topic this last couple of weeks. We're going to wrap it up this week talking about opposite sex friendships when you're married or in a committed relationship. And from what I understand, you all run a marriage ministry. Is that through Dunamis or is that outside of Dunamis Outreach Ministries?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, we have Aquila and Priscilla, which is ran from the Dunamis Outreach Ministries, and then we have our own marriage ministry where people may call us to do things and whatnot, and that is the whole Marriage Can Be Spectacular.
Oh, okay.
What we do.
Gotcha.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the Aquila and Priscilla? I've never heard are those names from the Bible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm unfamiliar with
so,
those names. So, can you break that down? Where did that come from for the marriage ministry?
Okay, yeah. Well, our Pastor Reginald Lang, before his untimely passing, many years ago, he had seen a vision where as though he wanted for the marriage ministry to be what Aquila and Priscilla is in the Bible, and that is there were a couple that were very influential in hosting different ministry people as they came through, and they were very hospitable. They were knowledgeable in the word, and there was a great couple that really is a great example of what true Christianity should look like, and that's where Aquila and Priscilla came from.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, what kind of is it education that you offer, or is it services that you offer to married couples there through that particular venue?
Yeah, well, what we do is that we have a monthly meeting, whereas though right now, of course, is virtual, and we just had our last one this past Friday, a couple of days ago.
Okay.
But for this month, and what we do is that we generally come and we help marriages to understand this truth, and that is that any and every marriage can be spectacular, but it doesn't happen just because you get married. So
right.
Our thing is that we want to show people how to build a spectacular marriage.
Amen.
I love it.
I think that is critical information.
Yes.
I know we're going to get into our topic, but I just want to spin off what you just said. That's something that has to be developed. That's something that has to be worked on constantly. My wife and I do marriage ministry as well, and we tell people all the time, when you get up in the morning, you got to make a decision that you're going to work as hard as you can on this marriage. Every day, you got to get up and make that decision. And when both people get up and make that decision, that they're going to prefer the other and work as hard as they can to make the marriage as best as it could possibly be, I think you get great outcomes from that type of mentality. And the understanding that it takes work. So I like that angle that you just brought in. It takes work, and people need to understand that. Which kind of segues us into this topic. We don't want anything that's going to make the work harder, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
correct.
We're talking about opposite sex friendships when you're married or in a committed relationship. Lady Sugar in the comments says, "So happy to see the pastor's temple. Good to see you. Thank you for your comment." So we're gonna jump right into some questions.
Yeah, I mean,
that's okay.
Yeah.
You got something you want to say, something, Ray?
Well, I just want to ask them as our guests. I believe you've heard at least last week's podcast from what we did. So, do you want to share your thoughts, your opinions on, having friends of the opposite sex in a committed relationship or marriage?
Well, yeah. And listening to, I think I've heard the last two podcasts, and sometimes when what people said, I can see their point, and other times I was like, But I guess the bottom line is that every situation is so different. Every marriage is so different, because you can have a marriage where you have two very secure people, and when you have two very secure people, they're not chasing behind one another to see who friends how long you been on the phone with so and so, or when the last time you talked to so and so. They're secure enough in their relationship that they don't have that as an issue. But then you can flip that coin, and you can have one or both people that are insecure. They haven't been made secure in the relationship. And so because of that, you have a situation where as though, oh no, well, I know you ain't been talking to so-and-so again. You talk to him more than you talk to me. And then and so it's two sides of that coin. And you can't really paint it with the real broad brush and say yes or no, because you could say yes to a couple and they'll leave the show and be arguing. I don't care what he said. Well, that's the person that may not can't handle. And I don't want to get off topic or anything, but this one of the things that I try to get people to understand, especially men. One of the greatest things, or the number one thing that a woman looks for in a relationship is security. Security.
That's true.
There was a survey that was done many, many years ago, and they asked women, wives, what are the number one thing? They asked women that were engaged to be married. The number one thing that I'm not saying that this was the number one thing with everybody, but the number one thing as far as in totality, the most people said was that the number one thing that they wanted was security. Even if they said it in different ways, it all boiled down to security. So when you can make your wife feel secure that this relationship is everything. And I loved how you said how when you wake up in the morning to make that relationship the number one thing. I mean, we talk about that like constantly. That it takes two people becoming one takes a whole lot more than what people understand. And so if we can make each other feel secure in a relationship, then it's easier to have opposite sex friendships. But when that relationship is not secure, because if it's really secure, then there's no problem with an opposite sex friend.
Okay.
True.
Wow, okay.
So question for Miss Temple. So would you say that is there such thing as providing too much space, or does that person who is friends with, I don't know, Pastor Temple, do they have to be friends with you?
Well, so let me say this. I have a friend that's a guy that when we were friends before he married his wife now, and I was friends with him with a lot of his other girlfriends. So when this girl he's about to marry, he made sure that she and I were friends because he didn't want her to feel like I was taking her place or whatever, because we were friends much longer before he had met her. So I was open to that because I was married to Tyrone. So to make sure, and Tyrone was comfortable with it because this guy was just a friend and he was friends with Tyrone also, but he was my friend first. Okay. But I made sure there are always boundaries in those type of things. You don't step over, you don't give advice. You don't want to know the personal part of their relationship. So I became friends with his wife. So she and I are very good friends now, and that's still my friend.
Okay.
So,
I have a question for Pastor Temple. I like how you said make the relationship or make the person feel secure in the relationship. Do you think there is one particular way to make a person feel secure in that relationship, or is that a different way for each individual relationship?
Oh, that's a tremendous question, and it is absolutely different for every single person, because when we connect with someone, it's a rare situation that you're going to connect with somebody that is like somebody else you've already connected with. So that you might have a girlfriend or a boyfriend that you had 10 years ago, and now you're serious and you're ready to get married, or you are married. That person is not like that last person. That's rare. Okay. Yeah. So each individual, you have to, and that's where certain things in the Word of God, it's the simplicity of some of the things that the Word of God says is just truly overlooked. It's just overlooked because it can be so simple. The Bible talks about knowing each other. The Bible talks about in Ephesians, and I don't want to get too deep, but in Ephesians 5, I think it's 21, it said, submit ye one to another. It will go to wives, submit to your husband, wives, submit to. Hold on, time out. The Word of God says, submit ye one to another.
Yeah.
What he's trying to get understanding and get us to understand is that you have to understand each other and understand how that submission should come. What does that person need? I don't want to go on a tangent, but everybody needs to understand that your goal in your relationship should be that I want to know my spouse to the degree that I can serve them, and I can serve them, and I can hit the bullseye. I don't need to be serving them and guessing. There's 3 ways that we get information. That's through revelation, okay, and sometimes we can go to God and we can think we heard something, and sometimes we heard what we wanted to hear. We changed what God said into what we want to hear. Well, that can be trusted sometimes and sometimes not because of our hearts. So you got revelation, then you got observation, where you watch somebody and you figuring out how they move and whatnot. And then you got simple conversation. Conversation is the best.
Yes.
Because when you go to someone and you say, how can I serve you? How can I make you happy? What are the things that you're looking for from me? That makes it way easier than me trying to guess by looking at you. That makes it way easier for me going to God every 5 minutes about everything that I think I see, think I know, think I don't understand. You keep it easy through conversation. Gotcha. And if you can do that and have great conversation about how can I serve you in every single aspect of your life, then that way you have the ability to now helps make that person feel secure, because now you're hitting all the right points. You're making it right.
Okay. Sister Trina, got a question for you. Picking back off of what Pastor Temple just said, and then kind of what you said earlier about having a friend. So how do you approach introducing, or how would you advise a person should approach introducing to their significant other that I have this friend that I've had for a minute that I need you to know is going to be around? I mean, how do you approach that?
Like what you just said.
You going to accept them or?
No. I introduced them at church. He came to church one day, and I said, hey, Ty, this is my friend Frank. And they introduced, and they he was respectful of Tyrone, though. He wasn't trying to be like, oh, she was my friend and yada yada. No, he was respectful of him as being my husband. So they introduced, they talked, and they became friends and came over. So I would just suggest that you just introduce and have an honest conversation with your mate. Be like, hey, I've had this friend, it's been my friend's best friend. There's nothing going on. I don't like him or her, and they just my friend, and I want you to know them, who they are. And so I would just introduce them and then let it go from there. And if it don't work out, then I have to deal with the fact that my spouse is going to come before my friend. And my friend should understand that my spouse got to come first. And you know that.
Okay. Yeah. So I got a zinger to throw at you guys.
Okay.
Ready for it?
Yeah.
So hypothetically speaking, and I'm kind of pulling from a movie now. My best friend, the best man.
Okay.
So what if there was a history, something happened way, way, way back in the past, but you guys never did anything after that? What happens to that friendship?
If we're still friends, if I'm still friends with that person, and he come along years later, and I'm gonna tell my spouse. I would have to tell him, because I would never want that to show up later on, because it would seem I'm sneaking and don't want to tell him, and that's gonna cause a communication problem and a distrust.
That's
so
good.
I was like, look, me and so-and-so had a relationship back when we were in high school, but that was way back then. I don't have no feelings for him. you know.
Mhm.
So the best thing to do is say it up front, because it's gonna come back to bite you.
That's good.
And
That's the conversation.
I'll just shoot the guy.
Oh, wow.
Of course not. You know, that's when you that's a very, very mature way of handling. It really is. That's a home run right there. That's a mature way as a Christian to handle that.
And so we should be respectful if our spouse or significant other can't handle that.
Yes.
Right.
And just kind of case by case.
Yes, and I was going to say that, Ray, because that's very true. If the spouse can't handle that, because remember, the imagination it tends to run to the negative first.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very hard to train your imagination to do anything else, but it runs to the negative first. You hear that someone's in a car accident, you immediately see a wreck. And it could have been that they got somebody backed into them into the car in the drive. I mean, in the parking lot. Right. But we go to the negative. So when someone says, "I had a relationship with that person way back when," sometimes in some people's mind, all they see is that person loving that person.
And that's why I use the Best Man movie, because that's what he was envisioning.
Yes.
His wife being with this guy. Yeah.
And if it comes to that, and they can't let that go, then respectfully, like my wife said, that, you know, you got to respect that, and then say, hey, look, my husband or my wife, you know, they can't really deal with the fact that we had a relationship and the way we did. So, you know, we can always be friends that we know that we were friends, but as of right now, we're just friends from the past, and we cannot take this any further. And you literally got to respect that.
And you would probably have to reassure that spouse that there's nothing going on. So you might have to spend a little more time being overly affectionate and reassuring them to help them with their confidence that there's nothing going on, that this person doesn't mean anything now.
Yeah.
Right. That sounds to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you have that level of insecurity on one or the other parties, it seems like that's something that should probably be discussed or worked out, because I think insecurities can lead to hindrances in other areas other than just this friendship aspect. What do you think about that? Is that something that you probably need to be working on actively if you've got, you know, these types of insecurities present in your relationship?
Absolutely. And you know, when you look at insecurities generally don't just come because we grow up. Insecurities come from things that has happened in our past, and it could be a multitude of things, or it could be one gigantic thing. It could be the fact that you thought you weren't attractive when you were younger, and so as you got older and got into relationships, you were always concerned about am I attracted to keep this person? It could be that someone called you ugly when you were in middle school, and so now you kind of held. It could be that you were cheated on. I mean, it's so many things that and that's why I talked about you got to know your spouse. You got to know the significant other, so that you can know how to help them in that area of insecurity. And you don't ever want to go to them and say, you know what, you're so insecure. You don't you don't tell them that. you recognize what's going on, and then you do everything in your power to make sure that you're making them feel secure in whatever area it is. If you notice that your wife or your husband kind of makes comments about themselves, like you know, I don't think I look nice in this.
You sure don't. You don't say that. I was just saying what you don't say. You don't reply. You sure don't.
Right. You got to understand that, hey, maybe this person might feel a little insecure about their looks. Then you begin to reassure them. Affirmation. Yeah, you affirm them.
Yes.
That good night,
that dreaded.
Or, man, you're a handsome guy, or whatever. And you don't do that onesie twosies. Yeah. You make that a part of who you are.
Yes.
That dreaded question, do I look fat?
Right.
From the wives.
Yeah, and boy, you better be careful.
Right.
You better know how to answer that.
Blame it on the clothes. Them clothes is terrible. Blame it on the clothes.
Wow.
So we got a kind of a similar question from the listening audience. If I can pose that to you, it says, pastors, what about the opposite sex person who has no desire to be friends with your spouse?
Ooh.
That's a very good question.
Oh,
That's a very good question. Now, and that's one of those situations where, as though it's easy to choose who's more important.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy. Is it
True.
the friend who you have a friendship with, or is it your spouse who you have a commitment and a covenant with?
Right.
And if that person does not want to be friends with your spouse, they just I don't like them, or I don't whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You got to read into that.
Mhm.
There's probably reasons why.
Yes.
I like you, and I don't like the fact that you with them.
Wow.
So you cut that off immediately, because for two things. One, they're disrespecting you and your friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you can't even attempt to be friends with who I love,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a red flag in itself. And
Yes,
number
it
two is that let's don't even let that be an option of you may like me secretly all these years,
Mm-hmm.
and you were kind of waiting for us to have a possibility of hooking up, and it didn't happen. Even if that's not it, that might be it. So you you clip it, snip, and you cut that off. And again, you do it godly. You ain't mad at nobody. You ain't got to be evil and disrespectful or anything. You be extraordinarily godly, but choose your spouse.
But what if you don't have a spouse and you're just in a committed relationship, and this person says this before you get to marriage? What do you do then? Does that still apply?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Because again, if I'm your friend and I love you, then I should be able to respect what you love or what you're extremely interested in. And
Okay.
even if I don't know the person, and even if this gonna throw a little wrinkle in it also, even if that person is not married to somebody, but they don't think that person is good for that person, so they don't want to really be friends, because I don't think that's the person for you.
Right. Yeah. That's
And-
common. That's common.
And yes,
Yeah.
and it could be because they think that person is conniving, sneaky, or whatever. They kind of looking behind the scenes, and so they don't know. I don't like them. I don't think they for you or whatever. At that point, the thing I try to tell people though, I'm sorry.
I said I would have a conversation with my friend if I'm not married to that person, and then you that adamant about not wanting to be involved in my life with my significant other.
Yeah.
So I want to know why, and then depend on what they would say. If they say, "Well, I just feel like they got these things going on in their life," just so that I can be looking out to make sure that maybe they see something I don't see, because sometimes we are blindsided by a person, but your family and everybody else know, oh, that joker ain't right. That person don't like them. And I have been in that situation where I felt that something wasn't right I was like, and I went to the person and told him, I was like, look, I don't think you need to be marrying that person. And they was like, what is it? I'm like, I just don't know. It's something about it. Just reevaluated for a minute. And then they married anyway and wind up divorcing 6 months later and a year later, because they saw the things that I was feeling. I just didn't know. So you got to weigh that. If somebody says that, somebody that's been your friend for years, they kind of know you and they see something. Sometimes you got to listen and don't be offended that they said it. Just take it to heart. Don't say nothing and kind of sit back and watch what's going on. So, because they could be warning you, the Holy Ghost went through somebody else and let them know, hey, let her know, because she ain't listening to me.
Yeah,
that's real good.
I've had marriage counselings where, as though and they absolutely claim they love one another. Oh, I love you more than anybody on the earth and all that stuff. And I was at the after some a few marriage counseling sessions, whatever, I say, you know what? I really, really, really don't think you guys should be getting married. I'm not saying you can't ever get married to one another, but right now you guys are not ready. And people will say, well, Pastor Temple, I disagree. We're gonna go ahead and get married. I said, I will never try to control your life. I says, but I'm not gonna marry you because I see what's going to happen. And every person that have gotten married that I told don't do it has ended up in a horrible relationship. I mean, sometimes it's they got to have PPOs put out against one another and all that stuff, and they fighting and everything, and then they end up in a divorce. And it's because sometimes we can be emotionally wrapped up into someone that we can't see what others can see. So what my wife said is so true, that just because someone says it doesn't mean that they're hating on you. Gotcha. You should listen and hear and evaluate. At the same token, it don't mean that everybody that has an opinion is right. Gotcha. But that's when you say, hey, look, Lord, time out. Let me go into prayer. Let me hear what someone is saying through the ears of the Spirit of the Lord. Because I can be easily fooled by me being so emotionally involved and so emotionally and attached to this person, which has that feeling of love, that I'm so in love with this person that I don't see what they say. And then we have the nerve to get mad at our friend for saying it.
That's true.
They're only really saying what they don't even know the person. They don't even know them enough to have a real. But hey, you know what? And then sometimes a person can see what you can't see when you all in the same room together. You can see a girl can be looking at the guy at the side of their eye, and this girl, every time another girl gets up and walks around the room, this guy following their booties.
Yeah.
And then when the friend come and tell her, oh, you just jealous because you ain't got nobody. No, girl, you gotta be in prayer. This guy might have a lust problem.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Got it. Yeah. So is it possible that there can possibly be some benefits to having a friend of the opposite sex that a significant other may be missing, that they're not picking up on? I mean, is it possible there can be some benefits to having a friend of the opposite sex?
That can be dangerous.
And when I say benefits, and I'm not talking about anything physical. I'm just talking about a good friend that's supposed to have your back. That type deal. Right.
That can be dangerous, but it also can be fantastic.
Okay.
And let me say it like this, and I want you to comment on this too. But a person that's your friend, sometimes they can have hobbies that more align with what that person's hobbies are. So they talk about bowling, or they talk about skating, and they even may go skating sometimes or go bowling sometimes, and it's super platonic, ain't nothing going on or nothing. Or they may, both of them may be going for their master's degree at the same time, and they're talking about schooling and things of that nature, and all that stuff is fantastic. All that's okay. But you don't want to cross the line when now we're talking about, I'm coming to you with my marital problems. Like that. Now you're getting into a place where you shouldn't be. I tell people all the time that if you're going to talk about your marital issues, you find somebody that both of you guys can agree on that this is a good, safe place to go to. Or you have someone in your life like your auntie that's saved and good and saved, and that don't have no kind of preference. Her preference is God. Or you have a grandmother where you can go to where they're not just going to see your side of it, but they're going to always be on God's side. You don't need to be talking to your friends and all your best friend and all that stuff like that, because they may give you advice from your point of view and from what they think and all that type of stuff. And so I try to tell people, don't do that end of it, but the other end of it, by all means.
That's good. That's real good. I guess what you just said kind of answered that question from from the comment you just put up there, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
He really kind of summed it up there.
The venting question: should you vent to your friend about your spouse?
Yeah.
I mean, you should vent to anybody about your spouse.
Yeah.
Have the conversation with your spouse about it, because friends and people hold on to what you say if it's negative. And then they're kind of looking at you a little crazy, but it's good to be able to have a conversation. But I find that when I got a question or something, most of the times, if you go to the Lord or you just go to prayer, your questions get answered in prayer. And whatever you were having that issue with, it ain't even worth bringing it up unless it has something to do with money or something like that. But a lot of times, things that may irritate us, that we would go to a friend to talk about or say, he didn't do such and such and such as. Really, after you pray about it and the Holy Ghost has convicted you and said some things to you about it, it ain't even worth bringing it up.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Because remember, you got to, and also remember when you vent, all you're doing is poisoning someone else about your spouse.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing. You're poisoning them about your spouse. Now you're going to be happy and live with them and go on and be happy. But when that person see your spouse, all they remember is all the stuff you said that was negative.
Right.
Yeah,
that's so true.
They wonder why you still with them and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't have the whole story. They just get the one side. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, this is good stuff. We're good
stuff. We are getting inundated with knowledge and wisdom and power, fellas.
And power.
This is wow. I'm so glad that we have had you all on, because we are getting some really good, solid information about this topic. Some good insight that we didn't necessarily capture in the last couple of episodes.
Right.
Exactly.
So I just want to slip this last question for me in there. So I guess would you all say that it's dangerous for me to look at Nate or Jake having a friend of the opposite sex and me giving the advice of, just because it may not work for me saying, y'all need to cut that. That ain't right. How do you, is that dangerous, or am I out of line to say something like that towards somebody else?
Absolutely. Because people, and that's one of the things it's so dangerous to have our opinions thrust upon other people, our experiences thrust upon other people. We should learn to love people enough to care about them and care about their well-being more than we care about our own opinions, experiences, and understandings. So you go to a person and say, man, look, I don't know, man. Look, honestly, go pray. I don't even want to spoil you with my experiences and everything. No, go pray about that. Be careful. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. But instead of us always throwing our opinion from our experiences and our understandings on everybody else. You should never have a somebody of the opposite sex as a friend. What?
Because it just may not work for me.
Your experience was bad. Let's don't throw all friends away.
Right.
Because of your experience.
Right.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So I've got just a follow-up question. We've kind of talked about some of it. You talked about boundaries earlier when we first started talking to you guys. Other than the lack of not venting and that kind of thing, what are some of the boundaries if a person is going to go ahead and choose and to preserve a friendship that exists already, or they find a friend and whatever the case might be? What are some of the boundaries that need to be put in place to ensure that friendship remains platonic and is not a danger or a hindrance to the marriage relationship or the committed relationship?
Ooh, that's heavy. Let me get my pen ready.
I think that boundary is going to play a big part in ensuring the success of not only the friendship, but more importantly, the significant other the marriage or the engagement or whatever it might be. The boundaries really have to be in place to make sure everything is in check
I agree.
and working like it should be.
Yeah.
You know, some of the stuff we've talked about already, of course, would be some of the boundaries, but there needs to be a conversation. My wife said earlier, she said, you bring the person together and you introduce them and whatnot, and you should have a conversation with one another to understand. Let's set some boundaries, and let's have some agreed upon boundaries so that I don't ever feel uncomfortable, or you don't ever feel uncomfortable about my friends or your friends of the opposite sex. And so, and those boundaries, of course, one of those things should be, we never should talk about our issues or problems to them. That should never happen, no matter what. It should never happen. That's one. The other thing is how much time spent with that person, and what does that time look like? If those two people, they work at the same place and they generally go to lunch together and they just laugh and joke and whatever. Well, if that's been already going on for years and you're secure with that, you don't come in and say now, okay, all that lunch going to lunch together. If you're insecure, you may go there. But I'm not saying that all of a sudden we coming in and now we're trying to rewrite the stories of our lives. But if you're insecure, that's another conversation that may need to happen. But those boundaries need to be something that you guys discuss and both understand implicitly, not have you can't come later and say, well, I misunderstood what you meant by that. There needs to be a very clear understanding of that. If we're talking about, I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable if every time you're on the phone with that person. Right. Mm-hmm. They may not feel comfortable with that because there's just too much. They feel like you talk to them more than you talk to me. Right. Yeah. Well, respect that. Don't go to arguing all about that and whatnot. Yeah. Respect that. Mm-hmm. Respect and then set some boundaries. Well, how much time is permissible? What time? What are you comfortable with? And I know a lot of people may hear something like that and say, that person my boss now? Are they? I gotta check in with you. Mm. That's called marriage. Right. Mm-hmm. You ain't no boyfriend and girlfriend. Right. Mm-hmm. You know what past that? That's good. The commitment is one to another. Mm-hmm. It said that the husband and the wife becomes one. It says cleave to one another, not cleave to one another and a couple of more jokers.
Yeah. Right. Forsake all others.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Forsake all others. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
All right, we've got one more question from the comment section. I'll put it up on screen. Now, this is from someone who's remarried. Currently, if my wife is insecure about my relationship with my friend because my wife used to be my friend, how can I get her to trust me? So the wife used to be a friend, then they got married. And now he has a new friend, and the wife's insecure about it. How can he get his current wife to trust him?
That is a phenomenal question, because that's one of those situations when I say that every situation is so different. Everything is so different. Yeah. Because here it is that he was friends with his wife, and they were just friends, and they end up falling in love, getting married, and now he has another friend that's a woman, and her concern is that, hey, just like we did. Hey,
that's where the boundaries come into play. That's where those boundaries come into play. Exactly. You don't need to be on the phone with that person a whole lot. You don't need to be going shopping and eating with that person a whole lot, because feelings can develop. So you don't want to do that. If they call you, hey, I'm just calling to check on you, see what's going on, how the kids, how the whatever. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. You don't need to be having half an hour, 2-hour conversations every day, and every time something go on, that's the person you call. That's a no-go. That's
and you gotta. He has to understand that friend that he has, that person. I tell people a lot of times, you don't have to cut people off. Just cut them down.
Yeah.
Cut all that time down.
That's pretty
I like
good.
that.
Cut them off.
Yeah.
You know,
Cut 'em
just cut it down.
Put 'em way down.
And if they can't respect that, then that's a problem again.
Right.
You know, with the friendship, because
Yeah.
that person should respect how they came together. That we were friends and we ended up together and whatnot. My wife has a concern, and you never throw your spouse under the bus. You don't say, you don't put it like on your wife that she like. No, so listen, my wife has a very legitimate concern.
Yeah.
And I understand where my wife is coming from.
Right.
You don't go saying, my wife thinks that we might can end up together or something. I don't know what's wrong. No.
Okay.
No. You support your wife. You let her know where it's coming from. You ain't got to be dishonest or nothing. Hey, you know what? Our friendship, you know what? My wife and I, we were friends. And man, you know, feelings begin to develop. We ended up falling in love. Now we're married. You know, we have this friendship. My wife's a little concerned, and I understand her. I understand where that concern could come from. So, as friends, we're going to continue to respect each other as friends, but I'm going to respect what my wife's feelings are about this. And so, and now you set boundaries with that friend, so that friend don't just feel like every time you get on the phone, you cutting them short and whatnot. No, you had a conversation. You let them know, because now that person think you acting funny. What's wrong with you? You got married and now you're acting all funny.
Yeah.
No, let me explain to you.
Well, when you get a boo, then
Yeah.
we can go out.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, go get you a boo, and then we can go all of us can go out.
Right.
All the four of us can go out.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
That's good. That's excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this has been a very enlightening conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super.
Good way to close out.
That's an understatement. But yeah, once again, I don't believe that the totality of this conversation can be captured in an hour or 4 conversations. But I think we did our best shot at it, guys. I think we gave it a good shot.
Yeah.
And I hope that everybody can leave with a better understanding and appreciation for the dynamics that exist in this topic. And so, bottom line, you want to do everything you can, especially if you're married, to make your spouse feel secure, respected, loved, appreciated, and that your relationship with your spouse is first above anybody else. And so, whatever you can do to do that, and if you can fit friendship in there as well, that's a bonus. But yeah, I hope everybody comes away with something that they can take and use in their own situation. Pastor Temple, Pastor Katrina, we appreciate you all coming on and just being free to answer these tough questions. We thank you for your wisdom. Is there anything?
I was just going to say, Pastor Temple, feel free to use these words after the podcast that you've never heard me about to say. You guys did a stupendously phenomenal job.
Stupendously phenomenal. I love it. They did though, didn't they? They did a stupendously phenomenal.
Very much.
Those are his
Very
words.
Come on, you probably got those words down pat, right?
So before
Great
you guys
cap.
go, let us know social media wise, website wise, whatever. How can we connect with you all if we should want to do that after the broadcast, or those who have listened or watched want to connect with you after this show? How can they reach you? What avenues do they have to connect with you?
Now I'm going to do something. Okay. Now I'm going to actually give you my phone number.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Got the pen ready.
I'm not going to put this in the video, so you guys better get it now.
If you call, I'm going to direct you to our monthly meeting that we have for Aquila and Priscilla. And what we'll do is that we'll add you to our list that we send out the broadcast to, so they can join the Zoom call just like we're doing here.
Okay.
So if you want to be a part of that, if I'm gonna give you my phone number. All you gotta do is text me and say we want to be a part, and we'll add you to the list. And I'm sorry, honey.
Or they can email us at marriagecanbespectacular marriagecanbespectacular@gmail.com.
Marriage can be spectacular at gmail.com. You can also hit us on there, hit us there as well.
Okay.
Okay. But now, so I'm gonna give you my number, and I'm telling you why I'm giving it. Now, I'm giving it so that you can contact us, so we can let you know, we can put you on a list, so that as we have our monthly meetings, you can join our monthly meetings and you can learn and be a part. Okay. Now, the number is 248-388-0450. Please text me and simply say that I want to be a part of the monthly meetings. Okay, and then what I'll do is that we will add you to that, to the meetings, and we will look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like that. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm going to put it on the screen here real quick as we go out. Okay, so you got it there, folks. You got the Gmail, and we'll put these in the comments and then the show notes that you can find those after this broadcast. You've got the phone number that you can text. We put on the monthly list for Zoom meetings. And you can find more about Dunamis Outreach Ministries at, is it DunamisOutreachMinistries.com or .org? Which one is it?
.com.
DunamisOutreachMinistries.com. You can find more about the church, the ministry, located right there in the great city of Detroit. And once again, guys, we thank you so much for joining us. This has been a great way to end out this series.
Yes.
We love you guys. We're praying for you, the ministries that you oversee. We're praying for your marriage ministries, that God would bless them, let them be fruitful, and be a powerful influence on married couples and those seeking to be married. As usual, fellas, I thank you for joining me.
All right.
And Ray, do you have any nuggets for us this week?
Yeah, I do have one nugget.
Okay, let me set you up.
The nugget.
Ray is going to give us our wisdom nuggets. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, so there's a reason why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Let's hear it.
Listen more and just be quiet. That's my wisdom nugget.
Wisdom nugget. Listen more and just be quiet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ray, you crazy. All right, guys. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next.
Not next week. Football.
No, week after.
Right. We're not going to be back until February
14th. 14th.
Oh, you're not going to do the first Sunday in February either.
First Sunday is the 7th.
That's right.
That's Super Bowl Sunday.
Is that? That's right. That's next week.
Yeah.
I got my calendar.
So we will be back on Lover's Day, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's.
Oh, wow.
I have to talk about that one, brother. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. So we can do that one either.
We'll make an announcement.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know.
Where's our commitment, fellas?
Huh?
What?
Y'all better check with them wives on that one.
Right.
I got to check on that one.
I know.
But so we'll let you guys know via announcement, official announcement, if it's going to be the week after next or the week after that.
Let me just say this real quick. Maybe we can play with the idea for, instead of coming back with our original topic we were going to have on the 14th, since it's Valentine's Day, maybe we can have people just kind of join us and talk about their love, that type deal. Just a thought.
It's a thought. Like I said.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I like that.
Line some people up.
That's a good idea. We'll mull that over. See if we can make that work.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Till next time.
All right.
Have a phenomenal, blessed week, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Safe. All right.
Yeah.
God bless now.
All right.
Nice.